Click below to watch the original Sins video.
When it comes down to it, this shot represents the love and hate of the Star Wars saga.
The fact that the two actors on screen right now are not even from the same movie, but just movies within the same franchise is apparently worth a sin.
Try picking a more suitable candidate this time.
You're still holding a grudge about the last guy this one recruited? 17 years later? What's the statute of limitations on a bum recommendation to the Kingsman forces?
There are no limitations to an old, grumpy, rich, white British man's ability to hold disdain over anyone outside of those groups.
These excessive liquor bottles are an orgy of evidence that suggests Eggsy lives a less than pleasant home life.
I mean, I think that's just good set design and character building, but okay.
Are you mental, cuz? He just get that lot to do you?
I don't know about you, but if I go into a pub and see a whole bunch of people I hate sitting nearby, I don't drink in that pub. But hey, any way we can introduce characters in a really slipshod manner is fine by me.
I also wouldn't point at them like that in a way that they're definitely going to notice and then proceed to start some shit.
What are you doing here? You taking a piss?
Damn, do these guys have a synced up drinking schedule or something?
Nope, they're just British. Remember, anytime a Brit isn't at work or in bed, then they're drinking.
Oh sure, people have fun ragging on the Bourne movies for shaky cam fight scenes, but this movie gets all the love for what amounts to many missing frames jumpy cam fight scenes.
I mean, the reason why the shaky cam and stuff like Bourne is considered bad is because it makes it hard to tell what's going on. The way the action in this movie is shot specifically draws your attention to whatever gadget or move is important at that moment, and it's all the better for it. The fact that you tried to sin the action in a movie that is beloved for its action was never going to end well.
I am absolutely fine with umbrella-assisted brawling, but I draw the line at amnesia darts, goddammit.
That seems like a really weird place to draw the line.
Also, Harry will totally not amnesia dart these guys because he needs them to tell Eggsy's stepdad about the fight and conduct an elaborate test to examine Eggsy's loyalty. But they know all sorts of stuff they shouldn't know and never get amnesia darted.
First off, Jeremy describes the test that Harry put Eggsy through as elaborate, but all it really required for him to do was just hang back and watch things unfold. Also, there's not really much that these guys find out aside from Eggsy was with a guy in a suit that beat the shit out of us. And considering that these guys having that information turns out to be really useful for Harry, there's really no reason for him to hit them with the amnesia dart.
The story of the internet billionaire's rise to power is expected to be this award season's hot ticket.
Why?
Maybe because it was really good. We don't know anything about this movie, so that doesn't seem completely off the table.
Damn, how many rolls of paper towel does this damn kitchen need?
Apparently someone having 2 rolls of paper towels is too much for Jeremy's brain to handle. Also, the fact that one of the rolls is on the dispenser and the other one is in a place where people usually use to store stuff in implies that the one on the dispenser is the only one actually in use at the moment.
Eggsy walks into his house like Dean's buddies weren't going to report the incident at the pub. But besides that, damn, those guys woke up from unconsciousness and called Dean about it really fast, didn't they?
In the space of one sin, Jeremy says, why does Eggsy go back to his house when he should know that Dean's goons were going to tell him about what happened? And then also says, how did Dean's goons regain consciousness and contact him so quickly? Surely Eggsy would have had enough time to get back before that happened. Either one of those questions would have been fine on their own, but including them both sort of has them invalidate each other.
Eggsy is suddenly a parkour badass.
Harry mentioned earlier in the movie that Eggsy is an Olympic-level gymnast, so this strikes me as something entirely within his wheelhouse.
An independent, international intelligence agency operating at the highest level of discretion.
That is, unless you're beating up a bunch of bullies in a pub, and don't shoot them with that amnesia dart thing, and they call their boss so you can test your recruit's loyalty. That's the exception.
And again, these guys don't really know enough about anything to give up any dirt, so this makes complete sense as an exception because there's really no downsides to it, and it also has the added benefit of being able to use it to test Eggsy.
Whitest recruitment ever.
Which fully makes sense considering that this movie makes a pretty big deal about all these guys aside from Eggsy and Roxy being stuck-up pricks from wealthy families, which is a group that tends to be almost exclusively white, especially in England.
Those idiots who call themselves politicians have buried their heads in the sand and stood for nothing but re-election.
Is this guy a bad guy or simply right?
While there is a certain amount of validity to Valentine's perspective, and a lot of what he talks about does come from actual real-world issues, the thing that makes him a bad guy is the fact that he wants to commit genocide to solve those issues, as well as the fact that he tries to play God by picking and choosing who gets to survive.
Discount back of Obama's head is discount.
What, did you think that they would have gotten the actual Obama to play a version of him who gets manipulated by a supervillain? I don't think the real one would have signed off on that.
I know most of these guys are basically geniuses from renowned universities, but where do you learn this type of survival shit? You mean you've run across stories where people were drowning and they use shower heads and toilets as a breathing apparatus? How often does that come up?
Honestly, it's possible that they just know enough about how plumbing and breathing works to be able to figure this out. Although apparently this wouldn't actually work in real life if the entire room was flooded like this, so unfortunately I'm going to have to add a Miss Sin, even if I do feel like I'm betraying one of the greatest movies of all time by doing so.
Let's talk about how Men in Black this movie is. Secret spy fighting force, multiple new recruits competing for one spot, one oddball candidate comes up with a unique solution to the test scenario while everyone else succeeds the traditional way. I mean, this movie is fun and I have no problem with it, but can we all just admit the screenwriter started with a literal copy of the Men in Black screenplay and then just tweaked all the specifics?
No, we can't, because anyone with a functioning brain could tell you that the entire rest of these movies and their premises are completely different.
I guess all the product placement in this movie is a joke, which I'm totally fine with. What I'm not fine with is the rich asshole serving McDonald's to his rich clients. I mean, even as a joke, how does he expect to woo the right people with this?
So this sin has aged interestingly.
When I was a kid, that was my dream job. Gentleman spy.
I think I know why he never became one, considering the Kingsman's recruiting standards. Did I just read racial subtext in a not-so-serious spy flick? Well, I guess that's a sin on me. Oh, and the movie.
I mean, despite not being that serious, this movie does still have a lot to say. It actually does have subtext, or whatever the opposite of subtext is, because it's pretty blatant, about classism. And there's a pretty large amount of crossover between race issues and class issues. Basically what I'm trying to say is that Jeremy is trying to claim that this movie was only deep on accident, when in actuality, that's not really true, because it does genuinely have a lot of depth.
Southglade Mission Church is a hate group based in Kentucky.
Oh no, not another spy movie going to Kentucky. Do British people think of Kentucky as the supervillain playground in the United States?
I mean, are they wrong?
So he's got a bunch of celebrities and dignitaries held prisoner, and not one of them decides to promote his product in exchange for freedom.
You have no way of knowing that this didn't happen. Someone he kidnapped could have easily done this and got released.
Which is, okay, fine, but he's just casually running a prison now for 300 famous people?
That doesn't seem completely out of the realm of possibility for a guy plotting to commit mass murder.
You know, I think if I woke up tied to some train tracks and I knew I was in an organization that liked to f with people, I might take this almost too calmly. In other words, the fact that you've been tricked so many times eventually leads you to the conclusion that you're not in a situation you think you are, and therefore the results of such a test are skewed.
I'd like to see you think clearly when you've just been woken up to a speeding train coming straight at your face.
At least the girl's got balls.
Yeah, but what would have happened if both of them passed this test? Is there something even more f***ed up you have in store if they somehow don't know they're being messed with? Would they have both passed? You'd have to have a girl in your Knights of the Round Table motif. I guess she'd be Guinevere, but then that opens up a whole bunch of other questions, namely if two dudes pass the test.
The name of the positions have absolutely nothing to do with the gender of the agent, considering that Roxy does end up becoming Lancelot.
Our filthy government condones sodomy, divorce.
Movie saves a lot of money by simply recording a Westboro Baptist church meeting.
Great sin. 10 out of 10. No notes.
Okay, I'm just gonna remove 5 sins for this scene right here. Anybody mind that? I mean, Freebird and everything? Good God, Matthew Vaughn. Have you been peeking into my fantasy action scene database?
And of course I'm gonna have to take off another sin for Jeremy, addressing one of the greatest action scenes in the history of cinema.
How is it after that melee there are about 100 people still in their pews, like they never once got up?
If you look at the last shot that Jeremy played, you can see that a lot of the fighting took place in the pews, so it makes sense that people would have died there.
Now I'm gonna tell you my whole plan, and then I'm gonna come up with some absurd and convoluted way to kill you, and you'll find an equally convoluted way to escape. Well, this ain't that kind of movie.
But apparently the sequel is. Actually, you know what? I don't have the heart to send this movie for that.
Well, this ain't that kind of movie.
Haha, wink at the audience enough and they will forgive anything, right?
Jeremy somehow finds a way to take the biggest oh shit moment in the movie and make a sin out of it that really doesn't even fucking mean anything.
Somehow, Arthur has this ridiculous scar on his neck, and nobody who knows what that means ever saw it. Until Eggsy, that is.
And considering that no one knew what this meant until very recently, that doesn't strike me as particularly unlikely. Also, Scar really isn't that visible. What is the sin here? You just played the Mario theme over footage of the movie. Is that to say that this scene feels like a video game? Because not really.
None of these guys thinks to shoot the legs and feet.
Considering that the Kingsman suits are bulletproof, it is entirely possible that some of the bullets did hit his legs, but just didn't do anything.
Also, seeing all these soldiers makes me realize, after Valentine executes his plan, who's going to do all the dirty work so that these rich people can continue living their lives in a rich manner? Maybe there's some subtext there, but no one calls him out on it. I mean, it's not like all the people who do the jobs of the world are going to be around.
Rich people are notorious for completely undervaluing the work of the people below them that got them to where they are. Sometimes people are just dumbasses.
These implants blow up domino style, instead of all at once. Also, why are all the head implant explosions so colorful? And why did someone take the time to make sure there were 4 distinct color possibilities?
This is a valid sin because obviously people's heads wouldn't actually look like this if they got blown up, but it looks so fucking cool that I'm just gonna sin Jeremy for being a grumpy old curmudgeon with no sense of whimsy and move on.
Okay, but when they save the day later, how are there not still hundreds of of thousands, possibly millions of dead people from this global rampage.
There probably are. I mean, the sequel doesn't address it, but that's more of a sin on the Golden Circle than it is on this movie.
Michelle is now in the bathroom, but despite the fact that she's in a frenzy, this scene will end a lot less tragically than it should have.
Yeah, because the thing that's putting her in this frenzy ends before she has any chance to do anything.
Man, anal sex. Could be said that the end of this movie got downright cheeky, am I right?
You know what you did.
I'm all for Dean getting his ass kicked in virtually the exact same way Galahad beat all his henchmen's asses earlier, but why the f is this in the credits?
Why shouldn't it be in the credits? The sin appears to be for this movie having the gall to include a mid-credits scene. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, then make sure to do all that YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. Anyway, I am very tired now, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave. Bye.